how to locate, access, and change your battery on a 6th-Gen Camaro. Let's get started. Welcome everyone to the Derpzilla channel, and for today I will be replacing my car battery on my 6th-Gen 2021 Camaro ZL1. And the reason for that is actually I've been working on my car. If you've seen some of my recent videos, and this car has been up on my quick jack for over a month. I forgot to hook up my trickle charger and my battery had completely drained and is dead. But I have it over here on my Optima battery charger recovery tool, whatever. And it seems like it's working once again. The battery's already out, but I'll show you guys what you need to do to actually locate your battery if you don't know where it's at, how to access your battery if you're not sure how to do that, and actually how to replace your battery. Even though I'm gonna be replacing it with my original battery, it's gonna go back in the car. But for anybody who is confused on your battery location, many cars, your battery, as you may know, is located in your engine bay. But for the 6th-Gen Camaros, they have relocated the battery to the rear of the car. It's actually on the rear side of the passenger side of the vehicle, hidden behind some interior trim and a little peep panel. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get the battery back in the car. But first I'll show you, where to access everything, how to do so, how to actually get to the battery, and then we'll go ahead and reinstall my OEM battery right here. Hopefully the battery is good. It says it's good. It's been on this charger here, recovery tool, for a few days. I'm hoping I didn't cause any kind of longevity issues, which I may have, but we'll see. It was so bad, I think it was down to like 5 volts, that I tried to hook up the tool with the battery still in the car, and the battery the tool would not take the battery. It kept causing errors. The car was making weird clicking sounds. The lights were kind of like flickering in the tail lights. I'm not sure what was going on. I'm not sure if the draw was too much with such a depleted battery. So I had pulled it out of the car, sat it here, and had been running it on this tool for maybe a week. I'm getting a constant 13.4 or so volts. I think it's good, so we'll find out. But anyways, I'll go ahead and show you guys how to access your battery and how to get it out of the car. Over at the rear of the car. Now, if your battery has completely died and your car is without power, your first issue is how do you get into the trunk if you have no power to actually pop the trunk. Now, the ZL1 and ZL1 1LE is slightly different. All the other cars, including the ZL1 SS and all the other ones, it's relatively simple to get to the trunk. You actually have to pull on that little, you see it right there, that little pull tab? You're gonna pull that, that's gonna drop your rear seats down, and you can actually crawl, if you're nimble enough, into your trunk, and you can reach up, and there's a very obvious pull tab. Let's go ahead and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But there's a safety release little lever right here. So once you access this, you pull this, the trunk will pop open even without power, and then you of course can then crawl back out of your car, open up your trunk, and have access to your battery. Now, if you have the ZL1 1LE, there are some videos out there to show you what you need to do, but the little pull lever isn't there. I think you have to use a tool of some sort. So keep that in mind. If you have the ZL1 1LE, you're gonna wanna check out a specific video for your car. All the other 6th-Gens, this method should work fine on accessing your trunk and getting it open. But talking about accessing your actual battery, it's over here. This is the passenger side of your car, as you can see here. And there's a little, peephole thing, little porthole right here. This you can just actually pop open. It comes right out. It's just held on with these little flaps. And then your battery sits right back there. You can actually access your, I believe it's the negative terminal, relatively easy. The positive is kind of back here, a little bit harder to get to. But this can actually give you some access if you want to hook up, a trickle charge or something like that, if you don't want to use the method in the front of your car. If you're not familiar with the 6th-Gen or are unsure where you would want to hook up or jump your car, if you don't want to actually get into the battery, you can actually go into your engine bay, and you have a positive terminal right here by your fuse box, right here. And then you have your grounding lug right here. So you can actually trickle charge right here. If you don't want to have a cable running out the back of your car, you can access it through this method. It's pretty simple. I forgot to do this, and I of course let my car drain completely, and hopefully I didn't kill my dash cam battery. I have a battery also in my glove box for my ThinkWare dash cam system. Hopefully I didn't kill that battery by letting this thing get so drained, but anyways, this is how you can access your battery. Next, we'll actually talk about how to gain entry to your battery if you need to remove it and install a new one. Now, to gain entry to your entire battery, so you can actually service it, remove it, or whatever, you're going to actually have to remove your trunk mat if you have one, and then your trunk floor. It just lifts right off. It's not like held into place by anything. It just literally sits here. You lift it off, and then you have access to your entire trunk, which gives you access to some clips. You're gonna have a clip here. You're gonna have to undo that clip. There's gonna be a clip right there that you need to undo. And then there is also, hard to see, a clip right here, right there, if you can see that. And then on top of that, you actually need to remove this. There's a plastic piece right here, which looks just like this right here. It has four little doohickeys here that you can just spin off. For me, since I have the GM little mesh mat, which is this thing right here, I actually have these little hooks. But if you don't have this and you just have a normal thing, I think they're just little nubs that spin in and spin out. And then once you remove those, you can actually just lift this straight out. It undoes with some, it's just like this. As you can see here, it has these clips. So a little force like that, pops it out. Pretty easy. And once that's removed, the clips are removed. Make sure your wiring harness is, you got some room. You actually peel this interior carpeting here. This peels back, and you don't need to completely remove it. I actually used, for some reason, I have a weight, like the old school, middle school, little weights that you did your metric or measuring tests with on the little level or whatever that is. I have it still in the thing, but I actually use it now to kind of hold trim or cables out of the way. And then, like that, we now have access to this whole compartment. Your battery sits right here. I'll show you guys once I put everything back in. See if I can show you a little bit better. This is aftermarket. Don't worry about this cable right here. This is for my tail lights. But yeah, right here, this is what you're gonna be presented with. Is a terminal block that's actually bolts like this onto your positive terminal of your battery. That is the negative terminal block. And it's actually, you're gonna have a vent hose right here. I'll show you this when I put everything back together. Make sure you detach, it just pops off from the battery. And you have a couple little harness clips that clip into the battery. And then the battery's held in place with this mechanism right here. So this actually sits like this. I believe it's 13 millimeter. I'll confirm that when we put everything back together. I think those are 13 millimeter though. And once these come undone, you have either unhooked, this will just lift off, and then you can He-Man your battery right up out of this little slot here, and then do whatever you need to, put a new battery in. And these are the OEM battery. If you're not familiar, it's an AGM battery. This is what it looks like. It's a 48A GM AC Delco battery. This is the OEM one. I think you can get them from Amazon and some online stores for like $130-ish. But if you want to go with an aftermarket battery, just make sure you can fit it, and you want to make sure it has a vent hose like this right here, because it is in your trunk. You want to vent out any of the gases emitted from your battery outside of the cabin of your vehicle, including the trunk, so you're not potentially having some kind of issues or anything like that. So I'm gonna get this up on my workbench, and then we'll move it over into the car. We can bolt this everything back together, and I can show you exactly how it looks when you're presented with your battery before you actually unhook it and remove it. I have the battery here sitting on my workbench just real quick to show you guys when you put the battery back in the car or when you're taking it out, the negative is going to be on the left side, positive's on the right. That's why when you have the little cubby hole thing opened up, the porthole, you pretty much just have access easily to the negative side of your battery. And it is relatively heavy, it's not super light. So if your car's up kind of in the air like mine, you're gonna have to work on those straps, power lift up that thing and kind of heave it into place. Make sure you don't bang it into the side of your car. That will be a sad experience. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing in the car. I'm gonna put the camera down because it is, like I said, a little bit heavy, and trying to hold the camera, not bang my car into submission. And moving the battery into place is kind of a pain. You don't want to drop it on any of your cables. Make sure your cables move out of the way. And then we can go ahead and get this in place. I'll go ahead and drop it in there, show you guys what it looks like. And then we can start locking this thing down with the battery mount and then get everything rehooked back up. Battery is in position, and the battery brace, or whatever that's called, is fully seated and locked down to the battery. Now, these are indeed 13mm bolts, and what it is you actually have this wedge and then a little, I guess, an end cap that goes underneath it. The wedge has to clip over the edge of the battery on both sides, and then you just go ahead and screw it down. Make sure you don't crimp this vent hose, and there's actually a little slot on the bracket here where the vent hose can clip in. Make sure you plug it back into the battery, and this is what would look like if you are removing your battery and you've already removed your positive terminal bus block here and your negative, which is over there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these bad boys attached. Pretty much it just will fit right on top of the terminal. You can see here, it looks like a typical, terminal clamp. Sits on top, and I believe it's 10mm, but we'll double check. And we'll just go ahead and drop it on there, get the negative on there. We'll clamp it down, and then I'll show you what it looks like and what else to clean all of your wiring and stuff up, because this positive cable does have a little post tab thing here. So this will actually clip onto your post coming right here to keep your cables nice and tidy, not flopping around or anything like that. So we'll go ahead and get those put in place. We'll take another look, and then we can go ahead and start getting everything buttoned up. I'll show you everything in reverse again, as if you were going to be getting to your battery for the first time. And yeah, then we can go ahead and see how it looks. The positive terminal bus block, or whatever this is called, is reclamped onto the positive terminal. Negative cable is in place, and then of course you can see the positive little cable lockdown, whatever stud things here. These are all back into place, so this cable's nice and situated. Like I said, this is an aftermarket harness right here, so you probably want to have this on your car. I'm just going to kind of put it out of place. But that's it. So when you first access your battery, you're going to be presented with this. Plus, you have this little positive bus plastic, I guess a safety piece there, just to prevent anything from falling onto any of your positive terminals. Since there are a bunch of exposed things here, you actually have some room for some additional stuff here, which is pretty nice. And this actually just slides in. So you snap into place. I was manhandling it before I pulled the trim out here, and I kind of partially broke this tab, so it might fall off. But I'm sure you can buy these for 20 bucks. But if you can see here, it just locks in on a little tab right there on both sides, and we'll see if it wants to play nice and lock in for me here, even though mine is kind of broken. Wanted to note this, I was having some issues putting this back on. It's actually slotted up here, so you want to make sure you come in. These will actually kind of feed in to the little, I guess you could say, rail, and then when you push it in, it will snap into place. This is, hanging on for dear life here. But to remove this, you pretty much just squeeze these tabs and pull straight out. Make sure you have full access to it, because if you can't get this through just a little port window here, that's what I try to do, and yeah, that's how I kind of broke that tab. Not a big deal. It seems like it's still nicely locked into place. And with that all snapped back together, if I can get my lighting here, we can then move the trim back into place. Now, do remember, if you have your harness up here, it has to feed behind this little area right here, so it actually can go in properly. And then you can line up all of your different things here. Like so, and it's kind of a pain, but you just got to work it back underneath the weather stripping, and it should all fit snug and give you access to your little push pins. And so we can get all this pushed back in together with the pins. Then we would want to reinstall this plastic piece here, carpeting, and then if you have a one of those floor mats. Thing to note, you want to make sure your harness from your trunk here is not pulling down your interior trim with the trunk travel. So see how it drops down like that? If it's tucked behind the trim, or you have a harness like I do coming off, tapped off of that, it could pull down, so I had to kind of rearrange how that was going. But now it doesn't yank the trim down. Before, this was tucked back in here, it would rip this trim right down off the weather, stripping right here. Looks horrible every time you want to, open up your trunk. You have to then push back in your trim. So that's one thing you want to make sure you have taken care of. Now we will install this super high quality plastic piece that goes around your latch for your trunk. And as mentioned, it's got these little nubs here, clips or whatever, and it has kind of, I don't know if that's like some kind of velvety looking padding. I guess that's for rattling, but it just pretty much snaps straight down. Want to make sure all your clips are in place, and also you want to actually have it, make sure you work around your studs are sticking out. There's 4 studs, so you want to have it around the studs like so, and then you have to clear the clip like that. Once it clears the clips, you can push it down and it should lock in place like so. And I think the weather stripping goes over top, so you might have to peel your weather stripping up. Don't quote me on that, but I think the weather stripping goes over the plastic. Pretty sure it does. And then just make sure your clips are fully seated. Once it's seated, you're gonna have your little spin nuts that go right here. Here are the 4 studs that your little wing nuts or whatever will spin into, or if you have the GM net like I do, it has these little nuts that have clips on them to attach your little bag here. And as mentioned, they just spin on like so. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these attached. We'll button up the rest of this interior, and then we'll take a final look and wrap this one up. Carpet is down. To keep in mind when you put the floor back down, the soft, non-rigid portion is in the back part of the trunk. Well, I guess that would be the forward part of the trunk. But if you're facing, you're into your trunk, it's the back part. You can actually just lay it back down. The more rigid part is right here, so you can hold stuff above your fuse box and different electronics that go right here. And then you have your little porthole view piece right here, and it should just kind of snap in place. Just make sure you put it the right way. And there we go. You can never tell that we've even been in here. Looks good. And here is my little GM net doohickey. I keep some Adams detail spray, microfiber trim tool, just some essentials so they're not floating around inside of my trunk, which is nice. I'll have a link for that. This little GM little mesh thing. Not a lot of storage options with the Camaro, but every little bit helps. That concludes this video on how to locate, access, and change out your battery on a 6th-gen Camaro. Process should be the same for pretty much all 6th-gen Camaros, and it's a little bit more difficult than some cars where the engine has the battery in the front of the car, but overall not too bad. Just make sure you're careful, don't break any clips, take your time, don't accidentally short anything out, and you should be good to go. So hopefully you guys found the video useful and informative. If you did, feel free to subscribe, check out my other videos. If you like the shirt or the hat and other merchandise, check out my website, Zilla.com, that's Z1, LLA.com. Also have Zilla.com, .etsy.com, that's all spelled out. I have the links up here and also in the description if you guys like the shirts, hats, stickers, all that fun stuff, Camaro related and unrelated. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Anyways, have a good one. Peace.